Hey everyone, it's Brickwaffle again, and we are back on the Let's Build Ruins world, and we are going to do 1 or 2 more episodes of this, depends on how much we get done today, and then we're going to put this little series on hold for a little while and go back to some of our other Let's Play and tutorial stuff. So for here, again, that's another Let's Build. We've had a lot of really good progress so far. I'm really happy with the way these things are turning out, and we're going to do some community suggestions today. So one of those things, and what we're going to start on this little platform with, is a nether wart farm. So I thought that was a really cool idea. You normally have to go to the nether and find a fortress to be able to get nether wart to start doing the potion thing. So we're going to try and do something here. It's not going to be designed to be super OP, but designed, again, in the kind of ruin style that a lot of these things are, although not all of them. Some of them are pretty nice. But we're going to do this as something that somebody may have started and then abandoned. So maybe the guy over here with the dirt house and his storage unit moved on and started a little house and it got blown up. And then he decided at one point he was going to do potion making. So we're going to do a little, I'm going to emphasize how small this is going to be, nether farm and potion brewing shop. So we're going to start out with a few things we know we're going to need. We know we're going to need soul sand, so let's get that on our hotbar. And we know we're going to need nether wart. And everything else from here on out is optional. Now I think it'd be a nice touch to use some nether bricks, maybe some fences, some blocks, and some stairs. And I think it's also going to be pretty good to have a brewing stand in here. They're not terribly expensive, but that's 1 free blaze rod. And then we're going to want... Oops, not a chest. We're going to want to have some kind of building materials here that make sense with that. So most people build with cobblestone when they're starting out, but if you're up to brewing, you're probably not building with cobblestone anymore. One thing that does look pretty nice with nether bricks is some granite and some polished granite, and we haven't really used any of that so far that I can see over here. I do tend to avoid building with it because it can be kind of ugly, quite frankly. But I think it's going to work over here with our nether wart, or nether brick rather. So let's come up by 4 here. And let's put some nether brick next to it, and you guys will see what you think. I think those 2 textures actually look pretty good. And then same thing with the unpolished granite. I think that looks alright as well. I don't think I like that quite as much as the polished. So let's go ahead and leave that for now. And let's come out, I don't know, let's leave 3 in between here and then do another one of these. And we'll go back to the polished granite on this side. And we could use more granite in here. We could do something else. We could also just kind of bring up the corners like this and leave them open. And yeah, we might come back and extend that platform a little bit later. We're just swinging it. We're seeing what goes on. This is a Let's Build, not a tutorial, so it's not going to follow a fixed plan. I haven't done any of this ahead of time, actually. But I like those corners. I think they actually look pretty decent. And we could also potentially do stuff like put some fences in here. That adds a little bit of detail that's kind of nice. And we could even do the same thing on the outside, too. I think that could look pretty good from the outside of the building. So that gives us a couple of options there, and I think that's a good starting point. Now we could consider doing regular unpolished granite for the walls, but for me this kind of looks like building with cobblestone. I just don't like how rough that texture looks, especially compared to everything else we have. So I'm going to drop that. Let's not use that in our palette. What other things look good with nether brick? Smooth stone actually looks pretty good. We could do smooth stone slabs. We could do some stone bricks, although we've used a lot of that recently. We could use some quartz, although we don't want to give too much away for free. If you're building these and somebody comes by, you don't want them to really just want to tear this thing down instantly. Maybe they want to leave it and just harvest some nether wart. So let's look at slabs. And the other option we have is some of the things like sandstone slabs and that sort of thing. Red sandstone I think is going to look really bad. Yeah, I think that looks a little too awful. Let's see what it would look like with just this, and we're just going to use the nether wart for accents in this case. Oops. Let's come across the top here. What do you guys think? I think it looks alright. We probably want some depth in here at some point, so let's knock out... Actually, let's put those back, and let's do something a little different. Let's knock out that and that, and let's get some stairs in here. Let's just see what the nether brick stairs look like. I think that's going to look a little strange, but let's try it. Oops. Huh, kind of looks like a weird face. Let's put these down here, and maybe we could put some windows. Nice tall windows in that way. And then that kind of looks out of place here as well. So let's take the whole thing out, and let's do one big window back here. What do you guys think? I think that'd be alright. I think what we're going to do, though, is we're going to raise this up by 1, and we're going to have a tall window to give us light on our workstation. And we're going to fill this in, and down here, yeah, I like that. Down here is actually going to be where we put in some... let's put in some slabs here. We're going to put in a brewing station, maybe? Yeah, I like that. I think we're going to have to do something like that, though. Now we're getting there. Now it looks like a table. I like it. Okay, so we're going to do the same sort of thing. We're going to come out this way a little bit. And we're going to want some place for our guy to be growing his nether wart. So we're just going to do, I think, 3 on either side. We might actually want to bring that out one more. We'll see how this looks, but we want to hedge this in. And I was thinking about trapdoors. Now, you can use metal trapdoors, and they look okay. The problem is you have to power these things for them to collapse. So we'd have to put some kind of hidden power system in for those to actually go down. So let's see what regular trapdoors look like. And I think they'll be all right. It kind of looks like flower boxes when you're doing some housing. I think that's going to work for our purposes. So we're going to do the same thing over here. And close this one off. And then we're going to put our nether wart on there. Oop, close that. And we're going to put our nether wart over here as well. So this way we have enough that we can do this, and it shouldn't cause any problems for us. Now the other thing we're going to need to do is have room for a chest, and we could do that like right under the brewing station. We could do it on either side here, but I like the look of this table, and I don't know if I really want to go right to the edge there. So we could do some other things. We could do some chests in the ceiling. Let's bring this out. I don't want to go too far with this thing. That's probably as big of a building as we want, really. I know we have more space. Okay, let's see how big it is. We can always throw this stuff in later, but if we put a chest in on either side of this stuff, one here and one here, I think that'll be all right. I think that'll do just fine. So let's go ahead and do our polished granite on this side, just like we did the first time. Now, what's that going to look like with our bricks over here? I think that'll be all right, actually. So 3 and 4, and then 3, 4, and then over here, 2, 3, 4. And let's grab the fences again. 1, 2, 3, 4. Oop, 4. Okay, so then we're going to want to bring the nether brick up on both sides here. That's looking pretty good. I don't like that this is kind of off-centered. Maybe that's just me. It doesn't have to be perfectly symmetrical, I suppose. So what if we just left it like this and then grabbed our our stairs, and did a small window here? Yeah, actually, I think that's going to work just fine. So we're going to do that again here, and then we're going to grab some of these blocks and some of those, and now we've got some nice little windows. They're all up at the same height. It gives us light without letting everybody see directly into our little brewing station in here. I think that's going to be good. Now, one of these chests we could leave for random loot, and one of them we could put some other things in. Maybe we want to put some glass bottles in here. So we can do, I'm not going to do a whole stack, but let's throw in here some... oh, actually, you can't normally stack these in survival, so let's not do it that way. Let's do it this way. So somebody's left some glass bottles on one side, and that's the other thing we're going to need is a cauldron in here. So now that we're thinking about brewing, let's put a cauldron in, and you probably want that cauldron up here near the front, and we don't have to be symmetrical, but we could put one on either side. I don't know if you guys like that or not. I'm going to leave it alone. I think we're going to actually, break that, and we're going to put the chest up here. And we are going to just put in some glass bottles there. We're going to put in some water on the other side. Fill up our cauldron. Now you can fill your glass bottles. And then over here we're going to leave one chest on that side, and we're going to do some kind of decoration. You know what we're going to do? We're going to do a crafting table. And that's going to probably do it for what we actually need to put in here. Ooh, no we're not, because I don't like the way that connects with the fence. Okay, so one other thing. I think a bookshelf is going to do the same thing, but let's see what it looks like. Is the bookshelf going to connect? It is. Okay, so we're going to leave that alone. And maybe we'll look at some decorations here. It doesn't have to be anything special. It can just be a non-decorative little piece. We could do a flower pot on the ground there. Might be okay. Might look a little strange. But you know what? I think we're just going to leave it alone. Not everything has to be symmetrical. I think that's going to be fine. All right, let's come across the top here. And how do we want to do our entranceway? We could do a big open door. We don't want to do a double door or triple door. That could look silly. I don't want to go so crazy as to have a piston door in here. But I think if we just do... Let's see, let's just come up this way. Oops, there we go. I think if we just do a regular door like that, it's going to look just fine. And we could take out some of these things, but that's going to look strange. We don't want to take out anything at the top, so we're going to do a door just in there. And the one downside we have right now is that this floor is going to be whatever this happens to be on, dirt, stone, whatever. So we could actually raise this whole thing up by 1, and I might do that in a cut here in between. Let's go ahead and get a roof on this thing as well. So what do we want to do for roofing? We've got slabs generally, and we've got some stairs. I don't want to just use nether brick. I really kind of want a very dark looking roof on this, like a black roof would be great. But since we don't have that, what if we were using stone brick slabs? Is that going to look really out of place on here? You know what, I don't think it will. So let's put these on the corners and bring this in just by 1. Oops. Let's go this way. And let's just bring this back the same way. Okay, and we're going to come across here. And then we're going to bring this one across this way. Okay, so now we've got the outline of our little roof. We need to do the fences on the outside again, like we did on the back here, because I think that adds a nice little bit of detail. Yeah, I like that a lot. That's actually looking pretty good. We could just come in here with the stone slabs and come across the top. And remember, this is supposed to be something that was built fairly early. I mean, we're not trying to go crazy late game, you know, everything's made out of diamond blocks kind of stuff. But that brings up the last point, which is how do we want to light this thing? Now, obviously, given this is a nether structure, we might want to consider using some lava. That could be pretty cool looking. But let me go ahead and I'm going to do an off-camera edit to bring this up a level and put a floor in, and I will be right back. Alright, so I went ahead and I raised this thing up off the ground a little bit so we'd have a little basement to work with, and put in a stone brick floor so it matches the ceiling. And then what I think we're going to do is we're going to keep that and we're going to dig some holes down here. And I think we're going to get rid of that stuff too. So what we want to do is put in some lava down here. Let's do that. And lava, and lava, lava, and lava. Now let's just go ahead and put all three of them. Whoops, not that one. Down there. Put that guy in the way. Perfect. Good thing we're in creative. And then we're going to put in some glass here and here. And there. And then we're just going to put... Oops, those are slabs, so we're going to do that. And now we've got some nice little lighting down here. Now we could replace some of that dirt with stone bricks as well to make it really hard to see any of the dirt down there, but I think it's alright. Again, this is not meant to be something just super amazing, but that's going to give us some light in here, and I think if we look around, you can see our light level is really good. It's 11, 12, 11, 13, 14, and even here at the block it's 9s, 9s. Even in the very corners here, we're not going to get anything that'll spawn in this room. I don't think. Let's just double check. Okay, yeah, we should be good. So we should be fine with anywhere in this room, and then we just need to put a door on it at the very end. So if you're using 1.7 or 1.8 rather, you can use some of these fancy doors. If you're using 1.7, you can't do that yet. Let's go ahead and do this so that we can do it in 1.7 as well, and that's going to do it for. That's going to do it for this little building. Okay, so we've got our last platform out here, and then what we want to do is make a watchtower. Now we want to look at the different materials we've used. We've used some sandstone, we've used quartz, we've used brick, we've used stone brick. I mean, we've used most of the standard building materials. And we could use some wood, a wooden watchtower, but that's probably not going to last long as a ruin. So we probably are going to go back to the tried and true stone. But we can mix it up a little bit by using different kinds of stone. So we can use regular stone, we can use maybe we will even use some cobblestone. And we'll use some stone bricks as well. So let's get some not monster eggs. Stone bricks, and we'll want some mossy, and we'll want some crackstone bricks, and maybe some chiseled. We'll probably want some iron bars. Those always look good. We might need some stairs, and this is going to be pretty gray when we first started out, but that's all right. I think it's going to be okay. So let's go ahead and use stone bricks to set out our basic shape here. We're going to start right here. Actually, let's come back 2, and we're going to come out with a little bit of an angle this way, and then 1, 2, 3, maybe 4, and then 1, 2, 3. And then 1, 2, 3, 4, and then 1, 2, 3, and then 1, 2, 3, 4, and then 1, 2, 3, and then 1, 2, 3, 4. Okay, so we're going to need a little bit of cleanup on aisle 2 here. Let's go ahead and take these excess out. But this is going to give us a nice platform and a decent round tower, as round as you can get in a small space in Minecraft. That looks like it's kind of caved in a little bit. I think we might actually want to go out like that. Does that look better? I think it looks better to me. And then maybe we could probably leave that alone. Most people aren't going to see that that's actually connected like that. So that's really just here and here. And they're kind of W shapes now, I get that, but that's all right. Those are for waffle. Yeah, so that's going to be all right. When we bring this up, you won't be able to tell that there's kind of a weird diagonal gap here. Normally, I don't like doing that, but I think if I do this, it's going to look a little too square. Let's try it. Let's see what it looks like. And do this side. Oop, nope, there. You know what? I don't know why I was worried. That looks just fine to me. We could even take these out inside and give us a little more interior room. That's going to look pretty square if I do that. I like the idea of walls that are pretty solid. So we're going to go with that for now. And then we're just going to raise it up a little bit. So let's pick one area right here, and it's going to go up, I don't know, this many blocks. How does that look as a watchtower? That's going to look a little small, actually, for something that's that big around. So let's keep going up. Yeah, I think that'll look all right. So then I'm going to go ahead and fill the rest of this in, and I'm probably either going to speed this up or just do a jump cut here, but I'll be back with you guys in just a second. Alright, and there we do. We have our walls, and it looks really, really plain right now. Don't worry about that. We're going to change that up a little bit, but I wanted to make sure we had a good kind of foundation. So one thing we can do is, obviously, when we get towards the end, we can just knock out a few blocks and place in some moss, and then knock out a few more and place in some cracked stone. Well, if we got to get these anywhere near there, cracked stone bricks. We'll do some of that at the very end. We also need to do some texture, because just having a big, flat, round tower looks also really, really boring. So we're going to put in some windows and some of that sort of stuff. We are going to make sure that we have a floor in here this time, so we're going to do that. I think let's see what it would look like with chiseled stone bricks, because I think that's going to look like it's tiling. What do you guys think? I mean, normally you see these kind of things used as pillars, but I think we're going to go ahead and do that for the floor this time. It's a little bit different. And then we might actually mix that up as well, because the floor is going to look pretty plain with just this as in just one big sea of gray. So we're going to mix this up with some probably wood to give us some color. But we'll do that here in a few minutes as well. So that's a basic floor. Now we know what height we need our door to be at. And we could just do a double door here, and then maybe we'll do some windows everywhere else. We could do double doors on multiple sides. If this was supposed to have been connected to a tower at one point, we could do... oops, let's do that. We could do an entrance like on either side here, and even continue out a curtain wall. I think that'd be alright. But actually, you know what? Let's go ahead and use all four sides as though they're open, and that way, no matter which way this orients in the world, you're going to have an opening that makes sense. Otherwise, this could possibly just generate with a hill like right out in front of one of these doors, and it would look like someone built this and was very, very silly. Okay, so that being said, let's go ahead and come back out here, and what we want to do is put in stairs there and stairs here. And we're going to do that all the way around. That's going to help us get into the building and also make our doors, when they're set back, look pretty good. We are going to have to set them on the chiseled bricks on the inside, though, because you can't set them on top of the stairs, but I think that's going to be alright. Let's go ahead and look what the doors would look like. And we might not even actually include the doors. Yep, let's just throw them on the ground. But if we put them... where is it? Here, I think. I think that would look... well, aside from that, I think these would look okay. You know, they do open inward, and when you're inside, they do stick in a little bit, but I don't think most people are going to notice that at all. But let's go ahead and put those on for now. Oops. And let's do it over here. We'll keep doing the same thing all the way around. Let's get that one and that one. Okay, great. So then what's the next thing we need to do? Well, we probably need some way to get up and down this. Probably need stairs. You know, ladders may have rotted out over time. We do need some stairs, and we're not going to use any more stone brick stairs there. Let's keep those for decoration. We're going to keep that guy, and that guy. And we'll probably use some cobblestone, too, to represent where things have really fallen in. We might even use some gravel when we get down there later. But what are we going to use for the floor? And that'll help us determine what we need for stairs. So we could use jungle wood. We could use spruce wood. I think spruce looks pretty good in here. And let's just go ahead and get some spruce planks and maybe even some spruce logs. And then in here, what we want to do is figure out how we want to decorate this. So we could do just a big pattern in the center. Like maybe we come back 2 from either edge there. That might actually look okay. How's that? That's looking pretty decent. We could go even one more than that, but I want to leave a little bit of a thicker border. And let's just do the inside like this. And then what would it look like if we mixed up in some actual logs here? Like that. And then went back to our planks for the end. That looks pretty decent. I think I'm okay with that. We could also mix this in with some dark oak planks if that would look better. You guys are free to do whatever you want on your servers, obviously. I think that's going to work for me, though. I like it. So let's get rid of those guys. And then we need some kind of stairs as well. So let's go back to our stairs, and let's get some spruce stairs. Now, doing a spiral staircase in a building this shape, I've done this before. It's a real pain. It never really works out the way you'd hope, because most people would want to go, like, right here, and then have it go up and around the room. And you have to do something a little strange, like start up here and go up, and then it has to come over right in front of the door. So that can be kind of a challenge. We might actually have to go with a ladder system in here just because of how narrow these spaces are. And I think that's probably what we're going to do, because we don't want to re-engineer this thing. We don't want to make this thing really wide so that a spiral staircase fits nicely inside it. I know we could do that, but I think this is going to be alright as well. Oops, get rid of that guy. And we're just going to come up on each of these columns here in the middle and put ladders all the way up to the top. Or let's go one short from the top for now. And we'll do the rest of those when we get back to this at the very end. But this is what it's going to look like, and we need to have some kind of flooring. Now, I would suggest that we probably do wooden interior floors. If this building survived at all, that's fine. We'd have some wooden floors in here. And it's probably going to be fairly tall. 1, 2, 3, 4. Let's put it on the 5th block. Oops. So like that. That would give us an easy way, and we could even do that. That'd give us an easy way to come up the ladders and then jump up out into here. And that's, I think, what we're going to do. So let's come up again. 1, 2, 3, 4 on the 5th block. And then do that, and 1 in here, and then 1, 2, 3, 4. Perfect. That's what we want. So we can fill this in again at the very end, and we'll probably mix up the floor again with some more of these oak wood logs or something like that, just to break up the pattern a little bit and make it look more interesting. But now that we know the height of these things, we can also put in some windows. So obviously we could do that. I think that's going to be all right. We know that those will look pretty good. And then one more on this side. And we can do the same thing over here and break in these nice holes for what we're going to do our window exterior views here. Now, if this is a watchtower, we probably don't want glass, or certainly don't want just open area. So let's do some iron bars. This is a fortification. So let's go ahead and do that. Oop. And we'll get rid of that guy. And we'll do the same thing down here. And do those and these, those two and these two, and the last ones like that. Okay. And that looks all right. We probably need to mix this up from the outside as well. So that looks fairly dungeon-like. Now we could obviously just use some stairs and do what we normally do with glass and just stick those in there and in there, and I think that looks all right. We could do some wood, but I think, you know, if this is going to stand the test of time, let's go ahead and keep it all with stone for now and see what that would look like. So I like the look of that, and again, we'll repeat this all the way around. I'll do a little bit of that off camera because we don't want to spend all of our time here just doing that part. Let's grab some spruce wood and see if there's a way we can use that on the exterior. Now what we could do is frame the spruce wood all the way up the side like this. And that's going to help break up the visual monotony of just having gray all the way over. I like the way that looks. So let's go ahead and do that over here too. Oops. 2, 3, 4, 5, all the way up to the top there. We'll go do all the way around as well, but now you can see, I think that looks a little bit better. And then we might also want to do something interesting with some other kinds of slabs or some other stairs here. What stairs would stand out enough without standing out and being totally distracting? So cobblestone would be all right. I think sandstone is going to be too much. Let's see what this would look like if we broke this up with some sandstone here and there. Yeah, I'm not so sure I'm going to like that. I'm going to leave that alone for now, but we could also consider doing that at some point. Let me go ahead and do the rest of this to kind of fill out this same pattern on the rest of these walls, and maybe I'll go ahead and throw a little bit of moss and cracked in while I'm at it. Alright, so we are back, and I've got some cracked bricks and some mossy bricks, and we've got all the stair beveling in here for the windows, we've got all the wooden framing on the outside, and we have our floors on the inside. So we just need to do a few more things here. We need to do some kind of roof, and we need to do some lighting in here. And lighting is probably just going to be torches. That's the easiest thing to do. It makes sense in a ruined watchtower, but what we could do is we could make some fancy ones. The downside is this could be pretty expensive, so let's use very damaged anvils, so it's not that great for people. But we could do some item sconces, or torch sconces with item frames like here and here, and then item torch sconce this way, and then if we can get the torch back there and back there, that looks like a nice little torch holder. So those look pretty good, and we can do that around here as well. I think that's going to give us enough light. Let's just go ahead and do the rest of this side. There, oops, there and there, and then 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, and then a torch on the edge and on the edge. And we want to make sure that this is going to work for us, and it provides enough light that nothing would spawn in here. Although, if it's an abandoned watchtower, it spawns in here at the end of the world. Whoops, let's go back around. And obviously we can't do it on that wall. So what does our light level look like in the middle? 9, 7, 6. So yeah, we could definitely spawn some things in the middle here. I think that's going to be all right. I think it's going to be bright enough that the spawns will be fairly limited. And let's go, we'll do the other one down here at the end when I'm ready to finish this whole thing up. So let's come back up to the very top here. We need to find some way to taper this off, make it look like it's nice and has some kind of battlements probably. So let's use some stairs again. And this time let's use cobblestone stairs because that texture is going to be a little bit different. And let's come up one and stick out from the edge a little bit. Nope, not quite like that. Let's go straight out from the edge. And let's see what this would look like. If we do this, yeah, that adds a little bit of visual difference. I think that's okay. Let's go this way. And then we would zigzag around the corner here like this. And it would come across like, oh, not quite like there, like this. Yeah, I think that's going to look just fine. So let's go ahead and go all the way around. And we'll do the same sort of thing. We'll zigzag out and around this thing. And then what we're going to want to do is bring this up a little bit. So some kind of maybe crenellations or the zigzaggy pattern, the sawtooth pattern you sometimes see on the top of castles. So let's go ahead and bring that around. And we could do that again with cobblestone. We could use something else. We could also consider just using some more iron bars up here with some slabs on them. So we'll try a couple of things and see what we think looks the best when we get this all ringed in. And then we'll probably just need some kind of floor up here so you can get up to the very top as well. Whoops. Went too far there. Probably some of you noticed that earlier. Okay, so come across that way. Perfect. So now we have this nice ring. We would be able to get up here pretty easily. Let's go ahead and take the ladder all the way up. And we could actually just leave it so that there's this little tiny ring up here that you can get to and leave this fairly open. We could try a couple of different techniques for making this crenellated. And we could just do like every other stair. But again, with that being an even number, that's going to look a little strange. We could do something like this where it's kind of got all the stairs facing one direction. And that looks like a pretty nice little crenellations. The hard part is going to be what do you do with this area. So we can try a couple of things. We could try going backwards here and see if that looks all right. You know, that might work. Okay, so then we're going to come across this way and we're going to just pick a direction. Let's go ahead. I think it's always going to be to the right, from right to left on these, and then we can fill in the gaps afterwards. Let's do that. And then this last one, 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7, 8. And then here, we're going to go do the backwards direction so that they don't quite line up. And then we're going to do the same thing here. Same thing here. Oh, you know what? We did it a little bit differently over there. Same thing here. And this one was going to need to be that way. Oh, I don't like that at all, though. Okay, what about that? Okay, we're going to have to play around with this a little bit to see how we can get this to line up just right. But we can make this work, I'm sure of it. Okay, so we want this to be going the other way. And then over here, same thing. And then can we get away with this? No, that's going to connect. I don't want that to connect at all. And I think we're going to have to do it. No, that's not going to look right either. So we'll figure that part out. Maybe we could just do some regular stone bricks here. Or maybe it doesn't matter if it connects a little bit. That's probably not the end of the world. Which one looks better if we do it that way? That one? I think that's all right. I don't think anybody's going to see that. So let's go this way, out towards the edge. That way. And then that one would be this way. And that's going to give us good enough crenellation so that it looks decent from a distance. And those little corners, if you have a better way of doing it, feel free. I mean, it's not going to be a huge deal, no matter what you choose. Now, you could always leave it that way. And actually, I think that's exactly what we're going to do. We're going to take that part off. And all of these corners, then we don't have to worry about the connection problem at all. There we go. I'm sure some of you were already suggesting that to me. So that's going to look just fine for our purposes. And when you come up here, if you were standing on this area, you wouldn't really be able to see out, but that's kind of good, because if you can see out and it's have your body exposed, it's not really very defensive. We could also add a floor up at the very top, and maybe what we would do is a half slab floor up here, and then you'd be able to see up just a little bit. So let's go ahead and get some slabs, and let's keep using spruce wood, because that's the way the rest of this building is put together. And yeah, here you can see out a little bit better. I think that'll be just fine. Oops. So let's bring this all the way around, cover up all of our stone here. We'll cover up those exterior pillars. I think that's going to help as well. And then what we want to do is figure out, do we want to cover this whole floor up? I think we probably do. So we're going to want to bring this out and that over and do just like the one we did downstairs where there's 2 entranceways up. And that's going to be it. We'll maybe throw a trapdoor in there at the very end, but probably not because these are slab floors. And I think that's going to do it. So I'm going to go ahead and finish up this last floor here, and I'll put some lights in, and then we will be all set, and I'll show you what it looks like when we're all done. All right, and the last thing we have to do is decorate this bad boy. So obviously we want some chests. We're probably not going to do that on the first floor. The first floor, I think, is going to be reserved for things like, maybe we'll put a couple furnaces in here, and maybe some crafting tables in one corner. I think these look pretty decent. Let's do some crafting tables over here. So this would be an easy place for people to come in and smelt. And you know what? Let's change the way those face so that they face outward. Yeah, that'll be all right. So we've got some furnaces in here and some crafting tables. We're going to go upstairs, and we've got the same sort of deal over here. In this case, we are going to do bookshelves in all of the corners. And then on the last one, I think that's really going to be it. We're just going to put some chests in on the last floor, and we're going to do that maybe here and here. And then we're going to do a couple of beds, I think. This will be the bunk bedroom where guards might have slept. So let's see, let's do one here, and we'll do one here. And actually, you know what? Let's go ahead and put the chests next to each of these beds. So there's a chest and a bed, there's a chest and a bed, and going to be, there is a chest and a bed. Yeah, I think that's going to work out just fine. And then if we go up to the very, very top, you see I did go ahead and put the, whoops, trapdoors in. That's actually a little bit hard to navigate, but you know what? It's okay. Ooh, that is not okay after all, because there's no way to actually get there. So we're going to take that out. Let's try putting those in from the other side. Yeah, you can still walk over them, but then when you use the ladder, you can hop right out. Okay, so that's what we're going to do. We're going to leave those trapdoors facing that way. And I did go ahead and put torches up in these corners. Just because this is not going to be very bright. It's perfectly okay. And if you put anything out here, you can see that since this is on a slab, it's going to be a little bit odd. Nothing should spawn up here, though, because it's at a half slab level. So this should actually be spawn proof anyway. So let's just drop back down in here. Oops, come on, drop down back in here. And trapdoors are a little picky. But I think this is going to look good. We've got our library, we've got some crafting area, and we are good to go. So that's going to do it for now. I think that's also going to wrap up the Ruins series for the time being. We might bring this back later on. If you guys have more suggestions that you want me to build, I'll probably return to this from time to time. But the next step is I'm going to use this in the Waffle Mods Let's Play, so I'm going to go ahead and convert these all to mod files for that. And when I get this all done, I'll put a link to the download in the description so you guys can get a download of all these if you like that. So hopefully you liked this video. If you did, please do hit that like button. If you really liked it, then please subscribe. And as always, I've been Brick Waffle. Thank you for watching.